and I've got a little scrubbing brush, and I literally just rub the potato with the scrubbing brush, and you can see that all the soil is coming off. It's really important that you remove all the soil because this has lots of bacteria which can make you sick. So washing our potatoes removes all the bacteria. It removes pesticides, herbicides, and all the soil, so that's physical contamination. So now I'm going to cut these into wedges, but I need to look at these potatoes and make sure that there isn't any damage that we need to remove. Now, I've actually got a big knife because I quite like cutting them with a big knife, but for these tiny little things, this knife is giant. It doesn't work. So I need a little knife as well. And I'm looking around to see if there's any imperfections on the potato that needs to be removed. There's a little bit here. So I'm always going to cut away from myself. I can turn the potato around this way and cut away from myself and just remove that tiny little bit. Okay, sometimes you might find it easier to do your bridge, cut in the middle, and then you can have a look. Can you see as you cut in, you've got this big black bit here, okay? So potato blight, it's a disease in potatoes. So we can't eat this bit, so I'm carefully going to cut this bit out. And I'm still going to keep cutting until I can see that it's clean, okay? And there's a tiny little bit here. So again, I'll just cut away from my potato, making sure that my hands are well away. This is exactly the same here, so we'll cut that bit off and that bit off. Okay, the other thing you're looking for is if your potatoes are green. I haven't got any bits of potatoes with green on it today actually, but I did save a potato because yesterday I made some wedges and look what I found. So I decided that I wasn't going to use these two potatoes because when I cut into it there was a big bit. So I'll chop that up and give them to the chickens. Right, there's a tiny bit of green here. Now, the green in a potato is poisonous for you. No, don't worry. If you eat a little bit, that's absolutely fine. But if you're eating a whole potato that's as green as this tiny little bit here, Tom, can you zoom in so you can see that? See that little bit of green there? So if you ate a whole potato and it was that colour all the way, then it would definitely give you a funny tummy and make you feel very unwell. Right, let's cut that bit off. There we are. There's a little bit more there. Cutting that off. That's better. Right, let's make the wedges. Now, we've cut our potato in half already. Okay, so think of wedges, they look like smiles, don't they? So I'm going to put the knife, my fingers away, the knife on the edge to create the smiles, okay? You can roll this over, cut this in half. So you've got some nice smiles. Put them in a bowl and we'll cut up the rest. So one thing I've forgotten to tell you, make sure that your oven is on. So 200 degrees, nice and hot, because wedges are like chips. We want them to be really nice and hot. But here are our wedges, and we want them to be nicely flavoured. So you can flavour them with anything. To get the flavour to stick to the potatoes, I'm going to use a little bit of vegetable oil. So a good drizzle of vegetable oil. So I'm going to use some oregano. So I'm going to flavour my wedges with some oregano, and I absolutely love smoked paprika. So this is actually from a pepper, from a pimento, and they pick it and they dry it out and then they smoke it for about 3 or 4 days until you get that lovely flavour, and then they disintegrate it and make it into a powder form, and that is typical Spanish. So paprika is a really Spanish dish. Okay, it's a great flavour. Right, salt and pepper. There we are. Right, now the best bit, get your hands in and let's mix it. We want to make sure that all this lovely flavour goes on to all the wedges. If you didn't want to do paprika, look and see what you've got in your cupboards. This is a great using up recipe. An old potato, you may have some garlic granules or some onion granules, you may have some rosemary, you may have some garlic, curry powder, turmeric, anything you like. Now you've got these lovely coloured wedges. Right, we're going to put them onto our chopping board. Make sure we get all that lovely flavour. And move this out of the way. I'm going to stand them up so that they are nicely spaced out and they're standing up on their skins. Okay, you can see that I've cut them nice and chunky because if you cut them really, really fine, then they disintegrate a little bit when you're cooking them. And I always think that wedges need to be quite chunky. Full of fibre. By keeping the skins on, you've increased your fibre. So it's a really good dish. Right, there we are. That's perfect. And we'll get these in the oven, but first I'm going to wash my hands. Right, we're going to put this into the oven and it's going to be about 20 minutes. So make sure you've got your oven gloves. In it goes. We'll set the timer for 20 minutes. Remember to keep your eyes on the sides. It's been in for about 20 minutes, so let's go and have a look, shall we? Got my oven cloth, make sure you've got yours. Oh, can't see. These look amazing. Look at these. Fantastic. Look at that. That's really good. Remember, it's really, really hot. You can use your flicker. If you've got a fish slice, you can just turn them over, make sure they're not sticking. But can you see how lovely and golden they are? If you've got loads, you can flick them over and put them in again. But for me, this is perfect. I'm happy to have them like that. That looks amazing. Perfect. So there's your wedges. Let's make some dip. I'm going to try and be more sustainable. So I wanted to look and see what was in the fridge and see what dips I could make out of the things that I've got. So I had a look and I've got some Greek yogurt, I've got a random bit of cucumber, some mint sauce, so I thought I could make a mint raita, and then I'm going to show you how to make a classic Mary Rose. So I've got some mayonnaise, but not very much mayonnaise, so we'll use a bit of Greek yogurt, some ketchup, a tiny bit of lemon juice, and Worcestershire sauce. So that will make your Mary Rose sauce. Let's begin. Oh look, so I've opened the Greek yogurt and this isn't exactly what you'd like to see. I think this has had better days. So I'm going to put that aside and I'm going to use a new one. So what we'll do is we'll put some good spoons of Greek yogurt into our bowl. So the more Greek yogurt you put in, the more dip you'll have, because that's your sort of main ingredient. Okay, and now I'm going to very finely dice this cucumber into nice tiny pieces. So that's all my cucumber really nicely chopped up. So I'm going to put a good couple of teaspoons of mint sauce in. Fresh chopped up mint would be brilliant, but I'm using what I've got, and it's the winter and mint is not growing in the garden at the moment. We have to wait for the spring. So I'm going to mix this in. So if you'd made your wedges with a lovely curry sauce, so some cumin and coriander and curry paste, then that would have tasted amazing with this. Right, some salt and a little bit of pepper. Now when you're making dips, when you try this now, it might not taste great because you need to leave it at room temperature for the flavours to combine, for the yogurt and the mint and the cucumber to all become one flavour. So I'm going to leave this sitting on the side for a few more minutes and then I'll try it and see what else it needs. Right, Mary Rose sauce. Okay, so I've only got a tiny bit of mayonnaise, so I'm going to use my plastic scraper to get it all out. Now what could I use instead of mayonnaise to make Mary Rose? Well, I've got all that Greek yogurt, haven't I? So as my base, instead of mayonnaise, and it makes it healthier, I'm going to use the Greek yogurt. I never weigh this out, I just sort of tip it in and then just keep adding products until I get the right colour. So you know what a Mary Rose sauce looks like, it's that lovely pink colour, isn't it? You always need way more ketchup than you think, so I think squirt some in, give it a mix and then see what it looks like. And then we can always adjust, can't we, as we go along. So I'm going to mix that up. Okay, the key to the Mary Rose sauce, look at that, that's a great colour. The key to the Mary Rose sauce is your Worcestershire sauce. So I'm going to add a few drops of this in. And your lemon juice. Now, I've got a bit of lemon cut up, but I'm going to squeeze it into my hand because all these pips are going to fall in otherwise. So I'm going to squeeze it and all the juice will run through my fingers. Give it a little shake. Let's see what other bits I can get out. There we are. Look at that, only one pip in. Let's rescue that. Okay, better wash my hands. Right, we'll add our pepper. We'll add a drop of salt. Salt and pepper are flavour enhancers. We're going to give this a really good mix. Remember that lemon is actually a flavour enhancer. So if you didn't want to add salt, you could add a squeeze more lemon. Now, I always think that Mary Rose is for your taste only, so it depends on how you like it. If you like it a little bit spicy, you could add a little bit of Tabasco, a little bit of chili sauce. If you want it to be really rich, you could add double cream instead of the Greek yogurt. So I'm going to leave that in, and let's have a taste and see what else it needs. More Worcestershire sauce. It doesn't have a tang to it, it just tastes quite bland. So I'm going to add some more Worcestershire sauce, give that a mix. Clean teaspoon, never double dip. Let's try that again. Tastes better, but it still needs a little bit of something. I've got no more lemon, so I'm going to have to add some lime juice. So I'm going to add that and a bit more pepper. And a couple more drops, probably because of the Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt's quite tangy. It's got that lemon twang to it. So it'll be really healthy. Okay, right. Clean teaspoon, let's try this one. That's brilliant. That tastes just right. So, all you have to do is add your ingredients, mix it and taste. And it's perfect. Now let's plate up. Right, let's dish up. So there are our two dips. And let's put our lovely wedges on. Look at that, that looks fantastic. Okay, so potato wedges and dip, ready to enjoy.